Happy November, folks, and welcome back to Hashtag AskGSM for November 8th, 2017. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, episode 206 of Hashtag AskGSM here today. Hope you guys are doing well. As always, if you want to send in a question to the show, be sure to tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. The cool thing is now is that most people, and I say most because I've seen some people not have it yet, we've got 280 characters on Twitter. So now your questions are not relegated to just 140, which is really, really cool. Some people took advantage of that last night, which is awesome. So you can tweet me your questions there. You can find me on Facebook too at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Be sure to leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. Last but certainly not least, drop a comment on this very video down below. I'll include your question in next week's video. It's been quite the week. Quite the week in WWE to say the least, between what happened on Sunday or Monday maybe? Monday, with the new Raw Tag Team Champions being crowned. And I'm thinking Sunday because Impact Wrestling had their Bound for Glory pay-per-view. That's what I was watching that day, which was fucking atrocious. But Raw, Sunday was the Jericho Omega announcement. So that's what was going on that day. I knew there was something more worthwhile than Impact, Bound for Glory, but we had that announcement on Sunday, new Raw Tag Team Champions crowned on Monday. Tuesday, we got a new fucking WWE Champion. AJ Styles is the new WWE Champion. Then as of literally an hour ago, John Cena was announced as the fifth and final man for Team SmackDown at Survivor Series. This pay-per-view is getting better by the day, literally. Every single day that passes, it seems like we're getting a new exciting addition to this card. This company must have realized that the original layout for this card looked awful between Brock and, other than the tag team match between the two tag team champions. But even they switched that up, which is fine by me, because Cesaro and Sheamus had an awesome match with the Usos last year at the end of the Tag Team Elimination Survivor Series matchup. So anyway, we'll talk more about this momentarily, but I just wanted to say that this has been quite the week for WWE and Wrestling Beyond. So it's a very newsworthy episode of Hashtag AskGSM here today. So we'll kick it off with Prince5835. His question from YouTube is the following. Do you think the WarGames match should main event and have the most time at NXT TakeOver? Absolutely. I mean, how can you not main event NXT TakeOver WarGames with WarGames, you know? Seems like a simple question with a simple answer, but I don't know what other way to put it. You can't main event TakeOver with anything else but WarGames. I mean, McIntyre and Alma should be a great match for the NXT Championship. Looking forward to the four-way for the NXT Women's Championship to crown our first new NXT Women's Champion for the first time in over almost 2 years. We've got that going on. Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black squaring off in a match that was made official last week. I'm looking forward to that. Even, it's kind of like on the kickoff show. It's really not because it won't be televised, unfortunately. We're getting Pete Dunne versus Johnny, or not really we, but the people in attendance, which is cool, but Pete Dunne versus Johnny Gargano for the United Kingdom Championship. That's fucking awesome. We won't be able to see it, but hopefully someone records it and plays it, puts it up online somewhere, because I need to see that match. At any rate, the whole show looks like it's going to be great, but how can you not main event WarGames with anything but WarGames? So, yes, it should get the most time. You got 3 different teams, 3 trios, 2 cages. So I do think it will main event, and it should main event and get the most time of any match on that card. His next question: you've said you don't really play mobile games, but I would recommend that you play WWE Champions. Would you ever give it a try, review it, and maybe continue playing it? Yeah, I have said that before. I'm not even a mobile gamer. I'm not even a gamer, period. Like, I will get the WWE games every year. Admittedly, I don't play them that much. I just don't have the time. Not that I don't have the interest, because they look like they're great games with great rosters, and I've always enjoyed the WWE games since I became a wrestling fan almost 10 years ago. I would play SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. Hell, I'll play SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 all these years later, and you guys know my infatuation with that game. But WWE Champions, the mobile game, if it's worth trying out, and if you say it's good, I'll definitely check it out at some point and maybe review it like you said. Continue playing it, that remains to be seen. I tried to do that with the Supercard game. I got really addicted to that for like a month when that first came out like 3 years ago. I just remember before I fell asleep and when I was in my sophomore year of college, I would play it for like an hour before I went to bed. I'd look at the clock. It's like, oh, fuck, it's already 2 o'clock in the morning. I have class in the morning. That's crazy. But, yeah, I got really into that for a while, and then I just kind of stopped out of nowhere. I had the app on my phone for a long-ass time before I finally deleted it only a few months ago. But yeah, WWE Champions, if it is that good, maybe I will check it out, continue playing it. I don't know. I'm not really a mobile app gamer guy, but maybe we'll see. You never really know. His next question, what would you like to see on the 25th anniversary of Raw? Favorite anniversary show as well. 10th, 15th, 1000th, the 1000th episode, or the 20th. The 20th anniversary show fucking sucked. Oh God, that was an awful show. You guys can check out my full ranting thoughts on that show. You need to see this. I put up a video on that 20th anniversary of Raw when it aired 5 years ago in January of 2013. On here on the channel, it's an episode of Wrestle Rant. So if you go back far enough to like January of 2013, you can hear my scathing rant on the 20th anniversary of Raw. Because the show, absolutely nothing special about it. Not a single special thing about that show. Ooh, we got Mick Foley, but he was announced for the WWE Hall of Fame anyway. Ooh, we got The Rock. Well, The Rock was supposed to be there anyway, because he was challenging for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. There was nothing special about that show whatsoever. The 10th anniversary show I've never seen, so I would have to watch that back in order to get a good grasp on how good it was. The 15th anniversary show I watched a long time ago. I've yet to watch it back, and I want to. Fun fact, that was one show I did see even before I officially got into wrestling. So when I first started, kind of, sort of getting into wrestling in the fall of 2007, I would watch an episode here or there. An episode of Raw, I would record it, watch it the next day. The only thing I really remember from that time period, to be quite honest with you, was Hornswoggle being revealed as the illegitimate son of Mr. McMahon. That's the only thing I remember watching, which is sad to say, but it's true. But beyond that, I did tune in for the 15th anniversary show. For whatever reason, I might have been flipping through the channels. I do remember watching the ladder match between Carlito and Jeff Hardy for the Intercontinental Championship. And I had to take a break from watching it because we had to take a picture for our Christmas card in front of the Christmas tree, because this did air in December of 2007. That show did emanate from Connecticut, so if I was a fan back then, I'm not sure I would have gone, because I didn't start going to shows until like a year or two later. But still, that seemed like it was a great show. I can't say it's my favorite because I wasn't a fan back then. I don't think I've ever seen the full show. I did watch it in parts many years ago. I'm not sure if I finished it. The 1000th episode of Raw I thought was great. There was a lot of hype around that show. They had built to it for like over 2 months. They announced like 2 months in advance that would be the beginning of 3-hour Raws every single week, which is now not a good thing, of course. But they would bring in legends every week, from Bob Backlund to Vader to Psycho Sid, to promote that historic episode of Raw. And it was a really, really good show. They had a lot of great matches, a lot of cool returns. Brothers of Destruction. We had CM Punk defending the WWE Championship against CM Punk. CM Punk's heel turn. We had Rock and Daniel Bryan going at it. The fake wedding with Bryan and AJ that went awry. All these other really, really cool things. I love that show a lot. So that is my favorite anniversary show. What I would like to see on the 25th anniversary of Raw? Good question. I mean, obviously, we already know we're getting Kevin Nash, The Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels. 2 of the 3 were on the first ever episode of Raw. So having them on that show is very fitting. I'm not sure if they're going to be at I would imagine they'll be at the Manhattan Center and not the Barclays, but you never know. I'm not exactly sure. Just some returns. I'm a sucker for a good return. How can you not have a 25th anniversary show without Eric Bischoff? And I know they brought him in for the 15th anniversary show. He has not been on WWE TV since, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he was at the Hall of Fame earlier this year, but he has not been on Raw. So bringing in Eric Bischoff and like decent returns, like good returns, not fucking like you can bring in Vicky Guerrero, but we see her all the time. Like, I'm talking about people that we have not seen in a really, really long time. A Jesse Ventura, or if they bring back Hulk Hogan for that show, that would be cool. I know he wasn't too wrapped up in Raw before he left in '93, but he's been on his fair share of Raw shows over the past 25 years. So bringing back Hulk Hogan for that show, that would be really cool. We have not seen him since he was fired from the company in the summer of 2015, over 2 years ago. So Hulk Hogan, bringing back Goldberg for one night. I know he's on good terms with the company now, so he was actually one guy I wanted to see come back at the 1000th episode of Raw. Obviously, he would not, and he would not return for another few years. But Goldberg would be cool. I'm sure Brock Lesnar is going to be already on that show because the Rumble is that Sunday. But yeah, just a lot of big returns and maybe a few title matches. And I mean, how many title matches can you really do, though? That's the thing, because the Royal Rumble is that Sunday, so they're not going to blow their load on the 25th anniversary show, and you usually have returns in the Rumble match. But, yeah, I don't know, just some big returns and make it a special show, because the 20th anniversary show, in my opinion, was a major disappointment. And his last question here, I heard you liked Breaking Benjamin, and I liked the song they had in the SmackDown vs. Raw series. What are some of your favorite songs from the SmackDown vs. Raw soundtrack? Wow, awesome question. Yeah, the Breaking Benjamin songs that were in SVR 07. I know that game way too well. But yes, you are talking about Riot and Animal I Have Become. Those two songs were fucking great, and I love them, not only because I listen to them all the time, because I play that game all the time with John whenever I see him, but they're just genuinely good songs. And the band is great, and I have a lot of songs by that band on my phone, my iPod, whatever you want to call it now. Yeah, Breaking Benjamin is a really, really good band. But in terms of my favorite songs from the SmackDown vs. Raw soundtrack, so 06 had a lot of good songs. The funny thing is this. I did a random video blog in this exact topic like 2.5 years ago. It feels like it was yesterday, but it's been like 2.5 years by this point, of my favorite SmackDown vs. Raw songs. And I got a lot of good feedback on that video because people could relate to it. They loved those games. They loved the songs. And I tried to sing the songs, which was probably not my best attempt or my best effort, but you could check it out if you go far enough in the random video blog playlist. It's like from May of 2015, or you can just type it into YouTube, the search bar, like me, GSM's favorite Raw vs. SmackDown soundtrack songs, or whatever. And there's been a lot of good ones. 07 had a great soundtrack. Bullet for My Valentine, I think, had a song, or maybe not on the 07 soundtrack. It was like Bullet for My Train or something like that. That was a good song. The two 3 Days Grace songs. 09 had a lot of really good songs, too. They used a lot of songs that were pay-per-view themes back then. I gotta say this. At Jamie Lee Mack, Dr. Mack knows this, but wow, we've had a lot of bad theme songs for pay-per-views in 2017. They have fucking sucked. They have been really, really bad. But we had a lot of good ones in 2009, and they used them for the SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 game. They had Hero by Skillet, Monster by Skillet. They had the Extreme Rules song, You're Going Down by Sick Puppies. That was a really good fucking soundtrack. A lot of good songs in that soundtrack. 2010, or no, maybe it was SVR 2010, not SVR 09. It was SVR 2010. 2011, I think, is when they started using the theme songs of the Superstars, and then they eventually dropped that and started using the like rap songs as of like SVR 2015 or 2016 or whatever. And those are fine, but personally, I prefer these more rock songs, not the rap songs and whatever. But yeah, favorite SVR songs, those would be some of them. Any song by Skillet from the 2010 soundtrack, that was a really, really good soundtrack. 09, I think, used theme songs, I'm pretty sure. Just theme songs, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, there was a couple. No, I think they had theme songs, but they also had actual songs too. Because Egypt Central, it's a random ass band, but they had a number of songs on that game. I probably should have done my research before I answered this question, but I saw the question, I got really excited because I love the soundtrack songs from the game series. But yeah, they had a lot of good songs in that game. Egypt Central. I couldn't name them off the top of my head right now. The 08 soundtrack was also really, really good. Just wanna be famous and be so fucking jaded, or however it goes. I forgot the name of the band, but yeah, that was a great song for SVR 08. Go hard or go home with that star. That song too is also really, really good. There's a lot of good songs in SVR 08, 07, 09, 2010, and 06. I can't name them all for you right here, right now, but those songs are my fucking childhood, because I would play those games all summer long, and throughout the school year too, but I would spend a majority of my summers in 08, 09, and 2010 playing those fucking games and listening to those songs, and they were just in my head on repeat, and I just cannot get enough of them. Next question from Emmanuel A. from YouTube. Remember the game WWE All-Stars, speaking of games? It was first released, around the week of WWE's WrestleMania 27 pay-per-view and developed by most of the team who made the TNA Impact game. A port for the Nintendo 3DS was released in November that year to make this question timely. Do you remember WWE All-Stars roster? I do. Funny story about that game. I got that game shortly after it was released. For my birthday in June of 2011, like you said, that was when the game came out. I enjoyed it. I liked the game. I played it quite a bit that summer. Didn't really play it a lot after that. Again, funny story though, when I was in my freshman year of college, so like first few months of my freshman year of college, late 2013, early 2014, I played that game a lot, and I got it for the Wii because I was a big Wii guy. Not anymore. I don't have the Wii U. I don't have the Nintendo Switch or whatever it's called. But I was big into the Wii U, or the Wii at the time, and I would get all the wrestling games for that console. And I enjoyed the game, and me and my roommate, who was not a wrestling fan at all, and people that were on my floor were not wrestling fans. Some of them were. I mean, maybe one or two used to watch, but beyond that, a lot of them were not, ex-wrestling fans or are currently wrestling fans, whatever. So we would play Mario Kart, we would play SSX Tricky, which was a GameCube game, but we would play it for the Wii, and WWE All-Stars. And the funny thing about that game, I used to play it quite a bit. I played it a lot after Warrior passed away too, which was also during my freshman year of college in the first few months of 2014 in April of that year, because Warrior is in the game. And one of my friends, he was not a roommate of mine, but he was a good friend of mine who I had up until I graduated in college, and he would live on the same floor as me in my freshman year in my dorm. He would always come in and watch me play that game, not for the matches, but for the video packages. You know how in that story mode in that game, they have the video packages for fantasy warfare, like Sheamus versus the Ultimate Warrior, the Celtic Warrior versus the Ultimate Warrior. You had The Miz versus Roddy Piper, John Cena versus The Rock or Hulk Hogan or whoever it was. That game had a really, really good roster, and I enjoyed it a lot. And like I said, the production value in those video packages alone is every bit as good as any video package you'll see on WWE TV. And my friend loved it. He wasn't not even a wrestling fan. He's like, dude, I fucking love those video packages, and they're getting me into wrestling. That's how cool those video packages are. Not so much the game itself, but we would play together and we would have fun. It was so over the top with finishers, and I thought it looked dumb, but the more I played it, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought All-Stars was a really underrated game. I enjoyed it a lot. I have not played it in a number of years, probably since then. That was over 3.5 years ago. I just don't play the Wii in general anymore anyway. But I thought that was a really, really underrated game and had a great roster. Anyway, his next question was Triple H's 2002 to 2005 Reign of Terror justified? To play devil's advocate here, Triple H was a well-established, credible name at a time when WWE was in a rebuilding phase. Steve Austin walked out in 2002 and only came back in 2003 for two matches before retiring. The Rock was out making movies half the time. Hulk Hogan's nostalgia runs didn't give the business the expected boost. Chris Jericho was not as over as hoped. For all intents and purposes, Triple H was a reliable star to help stabilize the company until guys like Randy Orton, Batista, and John Cena were ready for bigger pushes. No, it was not justified. You make a lot of good points with those guys. Yes, Steve Austin was on his way out, and he would leave in 2003, like you said. The Rock was largely done as an active competitor by that point. Jericho was not really a main event guy at that point. He wasn't really much of an issue in terms of, he should have been on top. I mean, I agree that he really was not, the main event player that he eventually would become a few years later. And then Hogan would not need to be on top either. He was over on SmackDown anyway. So with Triple H's Reign of Terror, it wasn't that, we only have Triple H as our only star, we got to rely on him. It wasn't about the people you mentioned there. It was about the people they did not push in favor of Triple H, who they should have pushed ahead of Triple H. Guys like Rob Van Dam, Booker T, guys like that were getting over. They had stars ready. Were they going to be as big of money makers as Triple H? Were they going to be established as him? Were they going to be as big of stars? Would they do the business any good? Would they make good business? Who knows? Maybe that's why they pulled the plug in their pushes. But it really seems as if the reason why they did not get above a certain level throughout that time period was because of Triple H. Because he had his glory shovel, his golden shovel, which has been, made a mockery of all these years later, but it seemed to be a very real thing from 2002 to 2005. that Rob Van Dam, according to various writers who used to work there, was on the verge of becoming the guy, of becoming maybe not the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion in WWE's lineage, but one of the first few World Heavyweight Champions that belt ever had. And they scrapped that in favor of Triple H, and RVD for the next 4 years would never return to that level and being a main event caliber competitor when he was super fucking over in 2002. You go back and watch episodes of Raw from that time period, and you ask yourself, wow, like RVD was really, really over. And I told John that too, because he said the same thing to me. He's like, wow, RVD was really over that year. And I was like, I know. They should have put the belt on him, but they didn't because of likely Triple H. According to various reports. We may never know for sure, but we pretty much know for a fact, almost confirmed, according to various writers, not just one person who started a rumor. This is coming from various sources that Triple H had a lot of power at that point and wanted to stay on top. Scott Steiner, to a lesser extent, the guy was awful in the ring by that point, but he was also getting hot. He was hot coming off of his, signing with Monday Night Raw when he came in at Survivor Series in 2002. He was getting pretty hot, but they gave him 2 matches that were awful, which might have played a part in his D-push than Triple H did. But I'm sure, he might have gone over at Royal Rumble 03 had it not been for Triple H. Who knows? He probably would have had a deplorable run as world champion anyway. But, they had Goldberg. How can you not count in Goldberg there? The guy was over. The guy was super red hot. And they gave him the belt for a few months, mind you. But it was too little, too late. They should have given him the championship at SummerSlam, but they had Triple H pin him with a fucking sledgehammer in one of the worst endings to a match I've seen in some time. That was a really, really dumb decision to do that. So I was not a fan of that, but yeah, they had guys who could have been the guy from 2002 to 2005, from Goldberg, from Scott Steiner, Rob Van Dam, Booker T. In 2004, Chris Benoit. They never really gave the guy a chance to be the guy. Yes, he won the main event of WrestleMania, but Triple H was always the bigger story. He got various shots at the championship after he lost it. He was always in the main event, and Benoit always had to get help in order to win most of his matches, so Triple H could be beaten. They just never really did Benoit any favors during that run either, and then once he dropped the belt, forgotten instantly in favor of Triple H. Randy Orton, another guy who could have been the guy. He was white hot in 2004. They turned him babyface. Triple H squashed him in the matter of a month. And I realized they had a longer story in place there, with Orton losing the belt but battling back and winning the belt back at the Rumble or WrestleMania or whatever. But by that point, it was too late. People saw him as a fucking loser. So that's why they scrapped the whole push with Orton and they moved on to Batista. And thankfully, he did not squash Batista the same way he squashed, Steiner and Booker and RVD and Goldberg and Orton. Maybe just because he saw Batista as a worthy successor to the throne. But yeah, you really can't justify that because there were a lot of guys who could have been main event level talent from 2002 to 2005, but they just kind of overlooked them in favor of Triple H. Captain Sunshine, also from YouTube, were Raw and SmackDown this week the best UK shows they've done on TV. Stuff actually happened on these UK shows for a change. They were definitely the best UK shows I've seen in some time. They weren't amazing, but you're right. Like, by and large, I'm actually kind of surprised they don't do this more often. Because by and large, a lot of these UK shows, because they're taped hours in advance, people look up the spoilers, they realize nothing happened, and they don't watch. And the viewership and the rating is down. I was shocked. I was fucking shocked when I read the other day that I might have misread it, but I'm almost positive that I read a report that said Raw's viewership and rating was up this week, albeit slightly, but that's better than going down. That shocked the hell out of me, because usually the rating is in the fucking shitter for these tape shows, because people read the spoilers, and they don't watch. And the shows don't have that live atmosphere, so it's not as exciting. And the English crowds are always awesome, don't get me wrong, but when it's not live, it's like, it doesn't feel like must-see TV. This week, we had that. On Raw, we had a Pete Dunne debut. We had new Raw Tag Team Champions crowned in a really, really good match. Balor and Joe had an awesome match. More members named for the Raw women's and men's teams for Survivor Series. And on SmackDown, again, another good show. It wasn't a great show, but it was better than most UK shows. We had the WWE title change hands for the first time on UK soil since 1963. I think Kathy Kelly said in a video that There was one, I think Buddy Rogers had the championship, or he won the belt over in like Italy or something. But beyond that, no one has ever won the WWE Championship over in the United Kingdom or anywhere else but North America. And I apologize again. I made that mistake. The tweet went viral, so I didn't take it down. But I got a lot of feedback. Some of it like bashing me. Like, I'm not a fucking idiot. I realized I meant to say North America, not the United States. But that's my own fault. I probably should have proofread my own tweet when I put up yesterday that, AJ Styles, the first WWE champion to be crowned outside of the United States since 1963. And there's been a lot of champions crowned in Canada, so I was wrong about that. But I meant to say North America, so I realized my mistake, people. Don't jump down my throat, please. But at any rate, yeah, I thought that was a really cool moment. We had a SmackDown Tag Team title match, which was kind of disappointing, but we had a tag title match, and now we have 3 big matches lined up for next week, too. Next week's go-home edition of SmackDown Live before Survivor Series. So yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that this week's UK shows were as newsworthy as they were. That was a pleasant surprise. Jeremy B., his question was from Facebook: Do you agree Tyler Bate losing to Enzo Clean was a huge head-scratcher? It was. Well, I'm glad. It would have been dumber had you had Pete Dunne lose to Enzo on Raw on Monday, considering he is the United Kingdom champion. It would have said more about the division if he beat the champ as opposed to Tyler Bate. But it was a dumb decision nonetheless. I mean, Enzo, I understand you need to give him a win every now and then because he is the Cruiserweight champion after all. But I just thought that, then why book the match at all? Like, the match wasn't even that good. And Tyler Bate, I mean, look at it this way. I mean, the guy was responsible, in my opinion, up to this point in 2017, for the best match the WWE has had all 2017 round. All 2017. In all of 2017, we had Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne at the NXT TakeOver Chicago show, which I think to this day is still the best bout in WWE this year. Yet the guy has to go on to face Enzo and dumb down his style and kind of work to his level and have a bad match. And the match sucked, like I said. So, yeah, I was not a fan of that. Tyler Bate has a lot more to offer than losing to Enzo Clean. I thought that was really dumb. And the match wasn't even that good. Like, it would have been one thing if he was made to look strong or credible in defeat. That wasn't even the case. He was made to look like a loser because he lost decisively to Enzo, of all people, who couldn't win a match before a few months ago. But, yeah, I thought that was a bit dumb, but on the bright side, trying to be positive here, at least Pete Dunne beat the guy. That's all I'm saying. His next question: thoughts on the slow build double turn with the Usos and Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. Now, I know you brought this up before, Jeremy, in regards to the double turn, and I don't see it. I really don't. I know you had mentioned that a few weeks ago after Gable and Benjamin beat the New Day by like hitting them in the back, but beyond that, we haven't really seen anything heelish from these guys. And I know the Usos were favored more than them on SmackDown last night, so maybe a double turn wouldn't be the worst idea. Wouldn't be a bad idea, because it seems like the Usos are much more over than those guys are anyway, which I find kind of surprising. But the Usos are fucking awesome, and they're way better off as heels as long as if they turn the Usos babyface. As long as they maintain these current characters and don't go back to doing the fucking face paint, and and all that other shit, then I'm fine with it. But I'm not even going to say it's not necessary, because these two teams could benefit from a double turn and get people more interested in the feud. But we didn't really see that on SmackDown. I know Chad Gable went after the leg of one of the Usos and might have injured him, possibly legitimately. But it seemed like a legit injury to me. I don't know, we haven't found anything out yet, so I'm not sure. We haven't heard anything as of this recording is what I'm trying to say. But I don't know, I'm not really seeing it. I don't think Chad Gable did anything that no one else would have done. It seemed like a pretty logical thing to do for him to target the knee of one of the Usos. So, I mean, I need to see more in order to see what you're talking about. You probably are right. They could be headed towards a double turn, but I have not seen enough of that in recent weeks to say that we're absolutely where we're going with this, but I don't see it yet. At any rate, I think it could be a good idea, though, to freshen up the team of Gable and Benjamin, who are very talented, but they're quite not as over as the Usos are, who are just firing in all cylinders right now. Mark S. from Facebook: should Dakota Kai be a breakout star in the NXT women's division similar to Bayley? What do you think of her in-ring work so far from what you have seen? I like Dakota Kai a lot. I think I've said this before, but I got my first look at her when she appeared in NXT about 2 years ago She was actually the first victim of Nia Jax when she made her debut in NXT about 2 years ago. And she got like no offense in. Her name was Evie at the time, but I thought she was really cute. That was the only reason why I liked her. But I didn't really hear too much about her. I would follow her on Twitter for a while to see what else she was up to, if she was anyone of note. Come to find out, she's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, or at least on the independent scene. And she's super young. I think she's super young. She might be in her late 20s, or her 30s, but I thought she was a lot younger than that. At any rate, she's really, really good. Noah and I actually saw her at the Progress show a few months ago in August in Queens. She had a great match there, a tag team match. And we also saw her, again, Noah and I, the very next month at NXT Lowell. And RJ as well. That was a fun time, and she had a great showing there. So I'm a big fan of Dakota Kai. I think she has a lot to offer. And I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. I think it might have been Jeremy when Dakota got tossed out of the Battle Royal in NXT, like, in anticlimactic fashion. It's a fucking Battle Royal. Like, who cares? They have yet to really introduce her, like, reintroduce her to the NXT audience the same way they have with Kairi Sane. She's really just one of the Mae Young Classic winners right now, but she is signed. Not winners, but, like, participants, competitors, whatever. One of the women that was in the tournament that they just kind of use as an extra right now. But they probably will reintroduce her at some point because she's really, really good. She's been officially signed. She's still young, and she can absolutely be a breakout star. She has a lot of similarities to Bayley. You are absolutely right. She looks a lot like Bayley. They could be sisters for all we know. They're not, but they look like they could be sisters in storyline if they went that route because they're that much alike. And she has that aura about her that just kind of makes you like her and rally behind her. And she's even smaller than Bayley is. She has a very small stature. So it's like she's the ultimate. She's like the Sami Zayn of the fucking women. She's like Sami Zayn with a vagina. That is Dakota Kai. So I'm a big fan of hers. Next question. Which event are you most interested in seeing? The next NXT TakeOver or Survivor Series? You know, if you asked me a week ago, I would have said TakeOver, no doubt. But after what happened this week with the changes to the card, so the new card for Survivor Series is looking like this, in addition to what I'm speculating here as well. So we have the men's 5-on-5 elimination tag team match, which is Shane, Bobby Roode, John Cena, as announced today, Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura, versus Raw's Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, and Jason Jordan. That's a really stacked match right there. And all the possibilities for dream matchups, that looks like it could be a really, really good match. So looking forward to that. Let's see. What else? The women's match. Alicia Fox, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax. Who else? Sasha Banks. Asuka, obviously. Asuka qualifying this past week, being named a member of the team. No Bayley. Which leads me to believe that if it's not Bayley, then Paige might be back as of Monday's Raw. I think they might put Paige on SmackDown, but you never know, especially with Emma being let go. They might need another woman on Raw. So and Summer Rae being released as well. So they might put Paige on Raw. But yeah, so Paige could be in that slot. That'd be really cool. Baron Corbin versus The Miz, which I'm more interested in now than I was a week ago because of these social media, Twitter, back and forth videos, whatever. That Alexa Bliss versus Natalya, which I think might be changed to Alexa and Charlotte because Charlotte is getting a title shot next Tuesday. I don't think Sin Cara is winning the U.S. Championship. He should not win the U.S. Championship. Baron Corbin and The Miz does not sound like it's going to be a good match, but it'd probably be better than Miz and fucking Sin Cara of all people. So I'm going to say Baron Corbin retains on Tuesday. I do think Natalya might lose, though. They're in Charlotte. They're in North Carolina. I think they have Starrcade coming up soon after that. But they might put the belt on Charlotte and do Charlotte and Alexa. And they've teased the match before. They teased it on Raw Talk not too long ago. So I'd be much more interested in that than fucking Natalya and Alexa Bliss between the two heels. Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Usos, which I know is The Shield and Usos, which I know a lot of people are looking forward to, myself included. But Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Usos could also be a really, really good match. Because they had really good chemistry when they squared off last year at the end of that match at Survivor Series. So I'm looking forward to that. AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar speaks for itself. And then probably The Shield versus New Day. Because Roman's back next week. The New Day cost the Shield the Raw Tag Team titles. Ambrose and Rollins are not currently on the Raw Survivor Series card, or not on the Survivor Series card whatsoever. So I'd imagine we're going to be getting New Day and Shield. That being said, that's a pretty good card. TakeOver is great as well, so I'm gonna stay with Takeover because sometimes we get these big cards, these star-studded cards for like big pay-per-views like Survivor Series, and they fall flat. Like again, like I've said before, I could not tell you the last great Survivor Series show that I saw. 2016 bored me to tears. 2015 awful. 2014 the main event was awesome, but the rest of the show sucked. 2013 one of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen, if not the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen as a fan. 2012 was 2011 I really, really liked. 2010 and 09 was too. So in the last 10 years alone, we have not had a lot of great Survivor Series shows. So I'm not that faithful they're going to book the show right, especially when Raw versus SmackDown doesn't really mean anything. I'm just kind of looking forward to the matches themselves and not really who wins. At any rate, TakeOver always delivers. We've had close to 20 fucking takeovers. Not a single one has been bad. So I'm sure that's a good sign that the show will deliver come next Saturday night. Next question. Let's see. Also from Mark. Who should win in the expected bout between Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream at NXT TakeOver? And do you think the latter has a bright future? And what would you think of him bringing the X Factor to the Undisputed Era and joining them? No, Velveteen Dream has no place in Undisputed Era. They're a much more serious group. And Velveteen Dream has gotten much more serious lately, don't get me wrong. And I love the gimmick, and I think Patrick Clark is doing a great job with that character. But the whole point of the group, which they have never really said on TV, but it's kind of sort of implied, is that you have to be a former Ring of Honor wrestler. Velveteen Dream was never in Ring of Honor. That's why they tried to enlist Roderick Strong. If they put Donovan Dijak in the group, that would be pretty cool. Or bring down Mike Bennett or Kanellis, whatever the hell you want to call him, from SmackDown and put him in there. That would be another good get. They probably won't do that, but back to your question. So no, he should not join the Undisputed Era. They're fine as is, but if they want to add Mike Kanellis or Donovan Dijak, I'd be all for that. Between Black and Dream, I'm looking forward to the match. I'm looking forward to WarGames, but this might be my second most anticipated match on the card because it's been built up so well. The build-up to this bout has been great, way better than anyone would have ever expected. Dream is playing his role to perfection, and Black is just pure fucking awesomeness. The guy's great. So I'm looking forward to the match. I think it's going to be a really, really good match. Velveteen Dream, regardless of what you think of the gimmick, the guy's a really good wrestler, and Black is great too. So I think the match is going to be great. In terms of who I think is going to win, you got to have Black go over. I mean, Velveteen Dream has been doing well with what he's been given recently, but Black's been undefeated since showing up in NXT over the spring, over back in April when I was there at TakeOver Orlando. You got to keep the guy undefeated. It would be kind of silly to break that streak in favor of Velveteen Dream. Maybe he will finally say his name, though. We'll see what the conclusion to that story is come TakeOver next Saturday. His next question, Mark's next question, would Alberto Del Rio be a good fit for New Japan Wrestling or not? Would he bring something different? No, keep Del Rio as far away from New Japan as possible. I don't think New Japan wants the guy. If they did, they would have approached him by now. They would have brought him in. They would have brought him in fucking years ago when he first got fired from WWE back in 2014. Maybe he worked a match here or there. To my memory, I do not remember Del Rio working a single match in New Japan. He worked a couple Ring of Honor matches, but that was about it. And then he went to Lucha, and then he complained about not being pushed in Lucha, so he quit, which was fucking stupid. That guy was one of the most featured guys in that show in Season 1. Oh, I'm not getting pushed. I'm not the champion. Fuck you, buddy. They brought him back to WWE, had an awful second run there, which was beyond pointless, and now he's bringing down Impact Wrestling. He was by far the worst part of that Bound for Glory pay-per-view on Sunday. That whole show sucked, but Del Rio, El Patron, whatever the hell you want to call him, brought down that show to a completely different level. The guy is just not worth the trouble. I don't even want him in Impact. People say it's a good fit because they're a sinking ship, and he's a sinking ship. He's just not a good influence, nor is he just any good publicity at all. The guy he's a good wrestler. Sure, I'll give you that. But beyond that, what else does he have to offer? His promos ever the same thing on and on again. He sounded like he was whining and whining and whining at the pay-per-view. Not in a good way either. The promo just fucking sucked. Sounded like he came out there drunk. And his matches are good, but the guy is as exciting as watching paint dry. The time to push him would have been 7 years ago. His time is well past up. So he should just go back to Mexico, work over there, which I'm sure he's going to do when he retires, but Impact bringing him back, I was not a fan of because I just thought it was a complete waste. So to answer your question, keep him as far away from New Japan as humanly possible, please. And his last question here, do you think there's any chance of Carmella cashing in her Money in the Bank contract at Survivor Series? That's a really good question. I did not even think about that. And that's the thing, too. I think they're going to have Carmella cash in when we're least expecting it. Because all eyes are on the 5-on-5 women's elimination match for the women of the pay-per-view. And Alexa Bliss and Natalya or Charlotte, whoever. So if Carmella gets eliminated early from that match, she could always come out later on if the champion versus champions women's match takes place after the elimination match and cash in then because no one's expecting it. People thought she would cash in at SummerSlam or at Hell in a Cell. We didn't get it. So I like that we're not expecting it, and that is when it might happen. She just turned on James Ellsworth. I hope it stays that way and they don't get back together on Tuesday. Then why have her turn on him in the first place? That was the dumb part. So I hope that's not the case, and we do see Carmella cash in soon. If Charlotte does not win on Tuesday, then yes, have Carmella cash in, because Natalya versus versus Alexa Bliss, don't really care about it. I like Natalya, don't get me wrong, but she just does nothing for me in her current incarnation. I just do not care about the woman. So Charlotte should be champion over Natalya. So if Charlotte does not win the belt anytime soon, Carmella cashing in, I think would be the next best option they can go with. At HardyDX from Twitter, what are your top 3 most hyped matches that failed to deliver? Good question of all time. Like, my personal top 3, leading the list would have to be Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton, because that was at that show. It was at SummerSlam 2016. The early goings were good. The match was over quickly. But then again, Joe and Lesnar was also over quickly. But I thought that was a really, really fun match. Brock and Orton, not so much. And it had a lame finish, too. And Brock beating Samoa Joe with 1 F5 was also pretty lame. I get it. But with Lesnar and Orton, it was just a match that had been built up so well. We had waited so long for it, and it wasn't what we expected it to be. Now, I would put Brock and Ambrose from WrestleMania 32 on this list, too. But I kind of enjoyed that match. It wasn't great, and it definitely was disappointing. It was underwhelming. But I didn't think it was a bad match. So I guess you could put that on here, but I would put Lesnar and Orton over that. Daniel Bryan and Sheamus from WrestleMania 28, an obvious one. I mean, obviously we got the yes chant out of it. We got a great rematch, the 2 out of 3 falls match at Extreme Rules about a month later. So they had some great matches, but I was really looking forward to that match, and it was over in 18 seconds. Like, that was a real disappointment. So that was obviously one that failed to deliver. And then finally, we're going to go back a bit with this one, but Randy Orton versus Triple H at WrestleMania 25. Again, a really, really good feud. We had seen Orton and Triple H a million times before, but the feud was great. The feud was doing really, really well. The whole personal, aspect of it with the McMahons versus the Legacy. I thought it was an awesome story. And then they had the match at WrestleMania 25, and it fucking sucked. It was a major disappointment. It wasn't a bad match, but it was not main event level worthy at all. It was just a match. They were hitting fucking RKOs and pedigrees in the first 3 minutes. So not a fan of that match. His next question, if you could choose one superstar to return between Edge, Shawn Michaels, CM Punk, or Batista, who would you choose and why? I would assume you mean to the ring, like assuming Edge could wrestle again, or if Shawn would come out of retirement, or if Punk would come back, or if Batista would come back, then I think that's what you might mean. My obvious answer, for anyone who knows me well, has got to know this, CM Punk. I mean, with Batista, I want to see him back for one more run, because his last run was not what it should have been. He made the most of it. He put over a lot of people. But for his sake, he should have gone out better. I think Batista deserves a better send-off than what he got in 2014, especially from the fans. And if he's not miscast as a babyface next time, I think it could go a lot better for him than it did in 2014. Batista would be cool. Shawn Michaels would be awesome, but if you mean it in his current form, I know like having him come back for one more match, like against an AJ Styles, would be amazing. But he went out in the most perfect way possible. Edge too, but it would have been cool. I mean, like even Edge, the guy's 40-something years old now. CM Punk is getting up there, but CM Punk left abruptly without giving us the matches that we could have seen with him and Kevin Owens, him and Bray Wyatt, him and AJ Styles now. I think Punk had he not left the way he did, and I've said this before, I think his contract would have expired that summer, and he would have left, and then maybe come back for an occasional part-time match. But, yeah, I think I said that last week or the week before here on Hashtag when someone asked me about that with Punk, but I would love to have him back. I know that's not likely, and if he does come back, and I said before he will come back, but maybe just not in a wrestling role. He might just come back for a Hall of Fame induction, and it's going to be a long ways away. We're closing in on 4 years since CM Punk left the company, and people hate his guts. He owes us everything. Why would he do this to the fans? I don't want to see him back. Whatever your feelings are towards CM Punk, and there's a lot of haters out there, that's fine. I'm still a CM Punk fan. If he came back and we got him and AJ Styles, hey, maybe it would suck, because Punk has not stepped in a ring in close to 4 years. But you know what? I think there's a better chance of him having a good match than definitely more than Batista. Edge and Shawn could probably have good matches too. Shawn went out in the most perfect way possible, so I would keep him retired. And then with Edge, Edge and who? There's not many Edge dream matches out there. Edge and Seth Rollins maybe, but beyond that, there's not many Edge, I want to see Edge and Dean Ambrose, Punk and pretty much anyone would be awesome, so that's why I say I would love to see Punk back in WWE in a wrestling role for one more run. His last question here, is there any superstar in your mind who can excel outside of WWE with a separate talent? And what talent would it be? For example, Jericho as a singer or The Rock as an actor. This is going to be kind of a basic answer, so I'm sorry if I'm cheating here. But Xavier Woods, he's already got his whole thing going on with gaming. His whole gaming channel's huge. He's got over 1 million subscribers on that thing. So if he was ever to leave WWE, and he's got a fucking PhD too, Xavier Woods would be just fine. I'm a big Woods fan. I don't want to see him leave. I'm not saying that. But if he was to ever leave WWE or retire, once all is said and done, he's got his gaming world. He's got his PhD. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. So Xavier Woods could be doing he could do well, could excel outside of WWE with a separate talent. I don't know who else. I was thinking of the roster and who else this could apply to that I would like to see thrive outside of WWE with a separate talent. I don't know. I know Emma, before she got fired, had a cooking show. I don't know if it was on WWE's YouTube channel or her own YouTube channel. And now that she won't be able to wrestle until February due to the 90-day no-compete clause, she could do that. But yeah, the first person who came to my mind was Xavier Woods and his gaming channel and maybe doing something with his PhD. At the Wrestle Guy, Sal from Twitter's question was, do you feel Styles' title win was to add more interest to Survivor Series in fear of Mahal Lesnar being a flop, or has Vince given up on Mahal? Much more likely the first one than the second one. You said it yourself, Sal, on Twitter. Right before I started recording this, I saw your tweet from earlier and as well as last night that the guy is probably hurt. I'm sure that, in combination with the fact that Mahal and Lesnar was not doing anything for anyone, that as a main event, that would have been fucking abysmal. So AJ and Brock is a much more exciting, compelling, must-see match than Mahal and Lesnar. So I'm glad they're doing that, seemingly, unless they put the belt right back in fucking Jinder next week, which would be dumb beyond words. And I've said this before. I said this last night on Twitter, yesterday on Twitter. I have no doubt this is only a temporary move. I hate to say it, but I have no doubt this is only a temporary move where they're going to put the belt on Styles for a few weeks and then put the belt right back on Jinder in time before or during the India tour, and then have him go into WrestleMania as champion. I don't want to see it, but I have no doubt that that's exactly where this is going, and that sounds like a terrible WrestleMania match for the WWE Championship. In a perfect world, I'd keep the belt on AJ and then have Nakamura win the Royal Rumble, but we all know that's not happening. So yeah, I definitely think it was to add more interest to Survivor Series and to thankfully give us a break from Mahal, albeit for a few weeks, but I have no doubt they'll put the belt right back on Mahal in a few weeks once he's all healed up and Survivor Series is wrapped up. I think if Vince had given up on Mahal, which in a perfect world they should have by now, because it's just not working, and I'm not going to spend an hour ranting on about this because I have time and time again on every outlet imaginable, but you would have given up by now. It's been almost 6 months, and we have seen nothing from the guy. Yes, he looks like a superstar. He's jacked to the gills. The Singh brothers are great. Good theme song. Once the bell rings or he has a mic in his hand, it's all downhill from there. Because his matches are mediocre at best. The Tuesday match with AJ was the best Jinder Mahal match I have ever seen by a long shot. By a fucking long shot. And just his promos are the same thing every single week. The guy is not exciting at all. The foreign heel character is just so dead in 2017. I would be content if we never saw it again with anyone else. Especially someone that is not as talented. That just is not talented as much as Jinder is. So anyway... I don't think they've given up on Jinder. It really is sad that it took an injury, presumably, to get the belt off Jinder and to put the belt on someone who is as over and as great as AJ is. That really is sad, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's just be happy that AJ Styles is WWE champion and that we're getting Styles and Brock at the Survivor Series. Let's just be happy about that. I don't care how it happened. I know probably how it happened with Mahal getting hurt, or because they want to add more interest to Survivor Series. If it was the injury, it's pretty pathetic, but let's just rejoice that Mahal, albeit for a few weeks, is not WWE champion. The Maharaja has been stopped. Thank the Lord. Next question, also from Sal. Which do you think is more likely? Kevin Owens costing Team SmackDown or Raw losing and Kurt Angle gets replaced as GM, leading to a Triple H feud at WrestleMania. Kevin Owens costing Team SmackDown. I think Raw should probably win. SmackDown won last year. I like SmackDown more than Raw, but they have a better team too. But I think it's much more likely we see Owens cost Team SmackDown the win. They're not even on the show. Zayn and Owens aren't even on the show, so I'm pretty positive they'll cost Team SmackDown the victory by distracting Shane or what have you. So Kurt Angle gets to stay Raw GM for a little while longer. And someone said it a few weeks ago. I mean, Stephanie said the same thing last year. We're like, oh, if Team Raw, if you lose, you're all going to be fired. And then she didn't say it like that, but that's how her father would say it. And then Team Raw lost, and nothing happened. She said she was, oh, just kidding. Just trying to motivate you guys. Like, can we really take these things seriously, you know? Or like when the Authority lost their match at Survivor Series a few years ago, and they got fired for a month before they were brought back, which was so stupid. So dumb. So I really hope Angle wins, and there's not the chance of him getting replaced as GM, which, like you said, could lead to a feud with Triple H, but you're not going to start that now in November. You could plant the seeds for it, and I don't even know how excited for that match I would be. I think Kurt should face someone else in the roster who could go, and if Kurt can't go at the rate that he used to, which is fine, then put him in there with someone that can. Like a Nakamura, or a Seth Rollins, or a fucking Kevin Owens, or someone. Or an AJ Styles, for God's sakes. Not Triple H, you know? But anyway, like a Sting and Triple H match, it was entertaining for what it was as a match. It really was not that good. That's because both guys are in their late 40s, 50s, whatever. Two old guys battling it out. It's not going to be that great. I know Triple H and Taker was an awesome match. You got to take into account that was 5 years ago. Almost 6 years ago. So I don't think a Kurt and Triple H match would be that good, but that's just me. But if they are going to do that match, they probably won't kick off the build until closer to the Rumble. So I think Team Raw wins, and we have Owens cost Team SmackDown the victory next Sunday. At Scarlet One, got a couple questions here. What do you know about the original WarGames matches, and how do you feel about the rules in NXT's version? So I know very little about the original WarGames, I will admit. I do know they significantly switched up the rules. Now they have shark cages, and this company loves their shark cages. We've had like literally 4 in the last year alone. We had one to take over Toronto almost exactly a year ago, over Survivor Series weekend. We had one at the Rumble in the Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens Universal Championship match, and we had one at SummerSlam between Cass and Big Show, and Enzo was up in the shark cage. So the 4th one in the matter of a year, which is fucking crazy, but I know they have to sell toys, which is why they're doing it. But anyway, I'm not too bothered by it. I did not see the original WarGames. I might watch one before TakeOver WarGames next Saturday, so I'm not bothered by it. But if anyone knows how to do things right, it's NXT. So if the main roster brought it back, I'd honestly be more skeptical about these rules, because it's like, oh shit, they're going to fuck it up. But NXT has rarely fucked up anything they've brought back, or brought in, or whatever. I have full trust in NXT to do the right thing with this match and make it entertaining. So, although it might not be the original format of WarGames, the way they're doing it might not be a train wreck. We'll have to see. But I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. Second question, name a song, even a wrestling theme song, that it's so bad that it's good. Oh, shit. So bad that it's good. That's a good question. I know the popular answer would probably be the Billy Gunn theme song, but I don't even have that on my iPod, iPhone, whatever. What do you even call it these days? iTunes? I don't know. It's so catchy. It's fucking terrible, but it's really, really catchy. And it's also like an iconic theme song. I'm an ass man, bum, bum. And people can recite that word for word, despite how nonsensical the lyrics sound, which we've talked about here on the show before as well. Anyway. So, I don't know. That's a good question. I was thinking about that. Like, what song is really, really bad that it's good? I don't know. Let's say, I'd have to say that one, though. Probably Billy Gunn's theme song would be the first one that comes to mind. Beyond that, though, I don't know. Probably some sort of lyrical theme that it's super fucking generic, but I love it anyway. Like Daniel Bryan's first theme song when he came to WWE and had that generic rock theme song. I love that. I thought it was great, even though it was really generic and bad. I enjoyed it personally. Maybe that's a good example, but I'll go with Billy Gunn's theme song. It's probably the best answer I can give you for that question. Next question. Do you think WWE will try to replicate Shawn Michaels' 03 Survivor Series performance with Jason Jordan this year, or will they replicate a 98 Rock-like heel turn with JJ revealed as a mole for Shane as part of an elaborate con job to screw Angle? Which is more likely? The first one's more likely, but I want the second one to happen. I don't know if he would even be revealed as a mole for Shane. I think he might just hate his father or something, or he might pretend to get hurt and then walk out and then cost his team the win. That would be pretty cool. Planting the seeds for a Jason Jordan heel turn, which he desperately needs, because the guy is just not getting over as a babyface. He's been a babyface now. He's been on his own for close to 4 months. It's not working. Same thing with Jinder Mahal. If it's been a few months, we've given it some time, it's just not working. Got to move on. So you got to turn Jason Jordan heel, but if they had him do the Shawn Michaels 03 performance where he takes out like fucking Bobby Roode and John Cena, which would be so dumb, because the guy could barely beat Cena and Roman Reigns a few months ago, yet he's going to come out and like eliminate Shane and Bobby Roode and Nakamura and Orton and Cena. That'd be pretty stupid. I know like what you're talking about, where Michaels took out like 2 people and almost beat Orton before Orton won. And then Orton could take out Jordan because Orton's in the match too, but I hope not. Jordan is just not ready for that. It's like saying it's eliminating the entire team, getting rid of Braun Strowman, Kurt Angle, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe, and then Jordan's the last one there. Would it surprise me? No, honestly it wouldn't, because this company has been known to do stuff like that, which if you told me a few years ago that Dolph Ziggler would be the last man standing among Ryback, John Cena, Eric Rowan, and whoever the fuck else was on that team in 2014, I would have laughed in your face. But we didn't get that. We had Dolph Ziggler. We had Dolph Ziggler as the sole survivor, which no one expected. So maybe we get something similar with Jordan, but again, like I said, I think putting Jordan on the team can work if it's used effectively. Either get him over as a babyface or just have him turn heel. But it's pretty apparent by now that he's not getting over as a babyface, so just turn the guy heel. And their last question here. Have you heard about Disney potentially buying out 20th Century Fox? I did hear the rumors. I saw someone tweet something about that, but then I heard that the deal was dead, and it's not happening. So we almost got, and the reason why people were so excited about that, which means, and correct me if I'm wrong here, we could have gotten the X-Men, and or maybe the Fantastic Four in Marvel, and maybe Deadpool. Deadpool's a Sony movie, is it not? Pretty sure it is. But yeah, we almost got, I think the Fantastic Four, the last couple movies, they fucking sucked. The most recent one was awful, and the originals I enjoyed, because I was a kid at the time. Looking back, fucking terrible. So we could have gotten a new Fantastic Four, or at least the X-Men would have been awesome, but doesn't look like we're getting that, because I think the deal is dead at last word, from what I've seen anyway, but that would have been pretty cool if that had gone through. It's like Disney, it's like WWE almost buying TNA last year. We almost got all that footage on the WWE network, but it fell through at the last minute. That's what that reminds me of. And final question for the day from @AdamHamburger21 from Twitter. His question was, thoughts on WWE sending out spoiler push notifications? I'm glad you asked this question. Now, I got some backlash yesterday from some people on Twitter Why would you spoil AJ Styles pinning Mahal to become WWE champion, blah, blah, blah. Why would you spoil that? Why would you tweet that? Listen, people. I hate spoilers more than any of you. I am the biggest detractor of fucking spoilers. But in today's world of social media, if you know a show is going to be taped in ahead of time, like whenever they go to England, or you watch the show, like say the show airs. I mean, this is a different scenario, but say the show airs and you haven't seen it yet and you want to wait to watch it and not be spoiled, but you go on social media and tweeting those people, oh man, how could you fucking tweet such a thing? I didn't want to be spoiled. That's your own fucking fault. Stay off of social media. In this day and age, it is so hard to avoid spoilers. Oh, how could you ruin this for me? You know what, buddy? It's your own fucking fault. Stay off of social media. I'm not pinpointing this on any one person. I saw so many people yesterday getting so butthurt over seeing that AJ beat Jinder. You know what? I try to stay away from that Raw Tag Team title change so badly on Monday. But you know what? I'm on YouTube. I see people posting videos about it, about how we have new champions crowned. You can't go on the WWE.com website, which I have to go on anyway to get photos and shit. So I had to stay off the website. I stayed off Twitter. I stayed off Facebook. I can't even look at my fucking phone to make sure I'm not spoiled. So that's your own fault. Stay off of social media. Okay, it's a different story. And this might even be, like, I'm a little pissed sometimes. Like one time, a couple months ago, back in May, and it's already aired by this point, so I'm not spoiling anything, when the Cueto Cup kicked off in Lucha Underground, and I was like, man, I really hope Pentagon wins it. It just started. Someone tweeted me. Someone replied back and said, don't worry, Pentagon wins the belt. It's like, what the fuck, dude? You just literally spoiled 5 months of TV for me. I fucking hated that. That kind of pissed me off because you're tweeting me the spoiler. But it was my own fault. I should have been more careful, but you got to expect that person. That pissed me off, but I can't blame it on that person. But that's a more extreme case. That's when you're going out of your way to tell someone that a spoiler. If someone tagged me in a tweet that WWE put out saying that they spoiled something or someone spoiled something for me on Twitter, would it piss me off a little bit? Maybe a little bit, but it's different. Like if I just tweeted out in general, this is what happened on SmackDown this week with the WWE title, I would not have put that out there if WWE themselves did not spoil it. They fucking push out push notifications like you said. That's a little unnecessary. If they put it on their website, fine. But the company, their fucking selves, they spoiled it. On their own website, major title change at SmackDown taping. What do you think that could mean? Like, we have no tag team champions? No, that means we have a new WWE champion. That's your own fault for going on the website when you know the show is taped in advance. And if you didn't know that and you come across it, I'm sorry, but that's life. Don't pinpoint it on me. I just tweeted a spoiler. Well, stay off of fucking social media. That's your own fault. If I tweeted you specifically, hey, spoiler, Goldberg is back this week. He just returned randomly on Raw, or he's going to come back this week on Raw. Major spoiler, no one else knew. Then I could see where you're coming from. If I tweet you the spoiler, but I fucking just tweeted it. I tweeted out into the world that AJ Styles became WWE champion. I was far from the only one. Everyone was doing it. I was not the first one, and I was far from the only one. That should be rejoiced. If you wanted to be surprised, stay off of social media. Stay off of social media. Like, perfect example. When I went to go see Star Wars a couple years ago, Episode 7, it was my own fucking fault. I wanted to stay away from spoilers so bad after the movie came out that Thursday. There's a big spoiler at the end, and people were saying, oh, this is what it is. I was like, don't tell me. I stayed off Twitter, stayed off Facebook. Someone randomly posted, they replied to a comment on a fucking Facebook post that I had saying that Han Solo died. So I was kind of mad about that, and I tried not to look at it. That was kind of shitty. But I got to expect that kind of thing. It's fucking social media. That's what it is. I'm sorry. That's what it is. WWE with the push notifications, that's a bit unnecessary. They've done it before. But again, even if they don't say AJ Styles won the belt, they just say breaking major title change at SmackDown taping. Of course you know what the fuck it is. It's not going to be the tag titles, obviously. So I wish they wouldn't do that, but they spoil it themselves so people know what's going on. They want to beat the dirt sheets. They want to beat me and you to the news so people will tune into SmackDown. And you know what? They couldn't give a shit. They don't care if you're surprised or not. Because if you hear that AJ Styles won the belt, it's not like you're not going to watch. you want to tune in to find out what happened or how it happened, you know? So you're going to tune in either way. They might get even more viewers that way when they find out, oh shit, AJ won the belt. I got to fucking find out and I got to tune in to find out how it happened. Whereas with other people, oh, Jinder and AJ for the belt, Jinder's probably going to win. I won't watch. You know what I mean? They probably get more viewers that way, especially on a tape show. So that's my little rant on spoilers. I hate spoilers more than anyone, so don't give me any shit ever for spoiling something for you. Like I texted RJ yesterday. Do you want me to spoil SmackDown for you? I'm not going to. I felt a little shitty like texting him, oh, AJ Styles became WWE champion without giving him a warning first. But I know RJ looks at spoilers, so that's why I texted it to him. For a friend of mine like Tommy Sharp, more often than not, he's not spoiled. So, you know, he doesn't read spoilers. So I didn't text him the news. Jason does not watch SmackDown on time. He watches it sometimes on Thursdays. Sometimes I'll tell him, watch the show. It's good. It's a good show. Don't miss the show this week. But I won't text him to spoil him what happened, because that's a shitty thing to do. But what I just mentioned, though, just if you randomly put out a post about something that is already pretty public knowledge when the company themselves acknowledges the spoiler, then you're not in the wrong. So if anyone who gets mad at that, like, oh, I've been spoiled, how dare you? Fuck you. Get off your high horse. Anyway, guys, that is hashtag AskGSM here today for November 8th, 2017, episode 206. So I appreciate you guys tuning into the show as always. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to that channel. Be sure to send in your questions by tweeting me on the Twitter machine. 280 characters in all, at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop a question in the comment section down below. I'll include it in next week's edition. All that being said, guys, have a great rest of your week. Next week, we will be back for a go-home show ahead of Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver WarGames. If it's going to be half as newsworthy as this week remains to be seen. This was a pretty crazy fucking week, and it's only Wednesday. So we'll see how the rest of the week shapes out. Regardless, guys, have an awesome one. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.